Hey guys, this is Ashley, and I am here today to read you my newest short story called Dance Mania. Somebody suggested that I turn my short stories into a podcast. I don't know about doing that, but I do know that from now on, every once in a while, I'll come across a short story that I would like to read on camera. And this just so happens to be one of those stories. So, this story is called Dance Mania. I hope you like it. If you do, please like this video and we'll see how this goes. Have you ever heard of a dancing mania or the dancing plague? It is a strange phenomenon where the citizens of a small village or town are struck with a type of dancing fever. It may seem funny, but trust me, this is no laughing matter. The first recorded case happened in the 1020s when a group of about 18 people got up in a solemn church service and started singing and dancing. But the most deadly recorded outbreak happened in July 1518 in the town of Strasbourg, where a lady named Trophaea began dancing wildly in the streets. Suddenly, people that were close to her started doing the same thing, and within a short period of time, almost everyone in the town was up singing and dancing. Again, this may seem like fun, but this was no flash dance. This was a serious plague, and by the end of the month, almost 400 people were dead, having suffered from heart attacks, strokes of all sorts, and just plain old exhaustion. Now, history doesn't tell us what caused this terrible phenomenon, but I know what or whom it was. And that's what I'm here to talk about with you today. I bet you didn't know this, but one of the last dancing plagues happened right around here, right in a little old place called Town Creek. I know this because my great Aunt Adelaide told me the story. And now, I'm going to tell you. You may not believe it, but every single word I say to you today is true. And in the end, you may wonder why you've never heard of this terrible tale. But I'll tell you why. First of all, there weren't but a few survivors. And then the people that did survive never brought the story up again. It was kind of just best for everybody to get on with their lives. I'm going to tell you the story in a first-person account, so you can hear it exactly the way my great Aunt Adelaide told me. Here it goes. On May 13th, 1922, the people in Town Creek gathered for a community gathering under a big tent in the woods. There was food, music, and laughter, and everyone was having a great time trading stories and admiring each other's accomplishments. Mothers bragged about their children, and fathers bragged about their brand new horse and buggies. It was truly high spirits all around. In the midst of all of this, a man who was dressed in what only could be described as slave rags stood up and announced that there would be a dance competition. I recalled at that moment that everyone looked around confused, trying to figure out just who this man was. And finally, Deacon Jones got up the nerve to ask him, "Excuse me, sir. I don't think I've ever seen you around these parts before. Who are you? You kin to Mamie them?" But the man never responded. He just smiled, a smile that was so wide, the curve of his lips nearly touched his eyes. Everyone was still talking amongst themselves, laughing, drinking, and having a great time when suddenly the man shouted again, "Come on, everybody, get on the floor and prepare for this dance competition." Then he pulled out a fiddle. The crowd burst into laughter. A man named Scat Cat Brown shouted out, "Say, man, how you gonna have a dance competition and pull out a fiddle? This ain't no 1865. We got record players now. Oh, but you know what? Maybe you didn't get the memo, since you still wearing them same old worn out clothes." The whole tent roared with laughter. Scat Cat Brown was always one to tell jokes at others' expense, but I noticed the man didn't seem bothered. He just reached into his coat pocket and pulled out 10 crisp $100 bills. Now this got everyone's attention, and they were even more enthralled when he revealed that the $1,000 would be given to the winner of the dance competition. Everyone, and I mean everyone, started lining up, getting ready to shake, rattle, and roll. And then the man explained to them that the competition was for couples, so you had to have a partner. People started grabbing partners left and right, laughing and joking about how they were going to get their money and start new lives. Me, a young boy named James Myers, and about 4 other people sat out. Most of us either had no partners or we were just too shy to get out there and shake our groove thing. It was the shyness for me. As soon as everyone was settled into place and ready to cut loose, the man brought the fiddle up to his chin and started to play. All of the couples started dancing wildly, swinging each other around and around, and some even throwing their partners up to the sky. It all looked like so much fun, and I sat and laughed in the corner. I watched as my mom and dad strutted up and down their small space doing a two-step. I also saw my aunts, uncles, and cousins and family friends having a grand time dancing to the music. And my, oh my, what beautiful music it was. I was so enamored that I started to feel my own feet start tapping, and then I felt the urge all over my body to join in the fun on the dance floor. It was weird. I knew I didn't want to dance. My mind was telling me I didn't want to dance, but my body seemed like it was being controlled by something or someone else. After about 30 minutes, everyone on the dance floor was still up and dancing, but most of the people who had been sitting out with me and little James Myers had gone home. So now it was just me and him, staring at our family members dancing and wondering when this competition was going to be over. After a full hour had passed with no winners being called, I decided to go tell my mom and dad that I was getting sleepy and that I wanted to go home. But as soon as I put one foot onto the dance floor, my whole body started to shake and jerk into different directions. I was doing all types of dance moves. I tried to get a hold of myself, but I couldn't. And no matter how hard I tried, I just could not stop dancing. As I danced, I looked around at the other dancing participants and I realized with horror that they were being forced to dance as well. I saw my mother crying out in pain as my father continuously twirled her about. I could tell that he didn't want to, but he had no control over himself. I looked at the strange man playing the fiddle and noticed that there was something very, very wrong with him. He was still smiling, but now his smile was demonic and full of hate. His eyes had a red tint to them, and his teeth now had sharp points at the end of them. And that's when it hit me. It was him. He was controlling us. Panic swirled through my bones as I tried to force myself to stop dancing. I was tired, oh so tired. But it didn't matter. My body just kept going and going, step by step by step. I looked at the faces around me again. Every single one of them was pouring sweat. Their eyes were bulging, frightened, and darting around every which way. I looked over at a teacher from my school named Miss Mills. She was dancing with her boyfriend, but when I looked down at her feet, I got a nasty, nasty surprise. She was dancing right on her ankle bones. She had broken them somewhere along the way, and now her feet just flapped out to the sides. Her face showed so much pain, but she still couldn't stop dancing. Next, I spotted Pastor Jones and his wife. They were doing some sort of spin move where both partners spin out, but they keep their hands interlocked. And they had done that move so many times that now both of their arms were broken at the elbow, pulled straight out of the socket due to the force of the spin outs. I could not believe what I was seeing. This was a nightmare. But no matter how hard we tried, we just couldn't stop dancing. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw little James Myers about to step on the dance floor. I mustered up all the strength I had and screamed, "No! Run away!" By the grace of God, my scream was louder than the music, and James took one look at me and did just what I said. He ran away. I was grateful that James had gotten away, but I started to feel my body getting weaker. I looked across the dance floor once more, and this time I saw plenty of eyes staring back at me, but they were seeing nothing. They were dead. The people were dead and dancing with their eyes wide open. It was a horrific sight. I looked over to my parents, hoping that by some miracle they were still alive. But my hopes were dashed when I saw my dad's dead, cold eyes and watched his dead body two-step back and forth, still holding my mother tight in his grip. The next person I saw was a family friend named Daisy Wright, and surprisingly, she was laid on the floor. My heart jumped, and for a second, I thought she had found a way to stop dancing. But when I looked closer, I noticed that her partner was stepping on her, over and over. I finally came to the realization that she must have fell or fainted or something early on before the spell took hold. But her body wasn't removed from the floor in time, so she was trapped just like the rest of us. And now she was being trampled to death by the person who loved her most, her husband. They had foolishly chose to do a dance called the Boogie Woogie Slide, and now I could see the pain and guilt in her husband's eyes as he shook his butt, wiggled his shoulders before doing a hard stomp onto his wife's stomach, and then having to turn into a different direction and do the move all over again. The poor man had been condemned to kill his own wife just because he had chosen to do a line dance for the competition. Now this made me angry. So angry that I started to scream and cry. And then I started to feel it. Death was upon me. My feet got sluggish and my breath got shallow. Everything started to get fuzzy and I knew it was my time. My eyes started to close and my mind was spinning. But then I heard it. All right, that's enough dancing for tonight. And the winner is... nothing. He didn't give a name. He just disappeared. And the people that had died disappeared with him. The rest of us suddenly regained control of our bodies, and most of us hit the floor immediately, too exhausted for anything else. When I could finally focus, I looked over to where the man had stood and saw 10 crisp $100 bills. But nobody wanted to touch the money. We all went home, leaving it right where it was. But after a few days passed, we finally got up enough nerve to go back to the tent, and we saw the money was still there. With fresh minds, we were able to discuss what had happened, and in the end, we decided to split the money up amongst ourselves and never bring up that night again. We moved on with our lives and buried the past behind us. Of course, we thought about the people we lost, but there was nothing we could do. After telling her story, my Aunt Adelaide looked at me with serious eyes and warned me that if an unfamiliar man ever shows up to your party asking for a dance competition, run far, far away as fast as you can and never, ever look back. So, how did you guys like it? I hope you loved it. If you did, I'll do more of these. I liked it. So, anyways, I don't know. You guys have a good night.